we also need to introduce the other star of the show.
Oh yeah. Say hi to Sky. This is Skywalker, my little baby.
More on Sky later. But so Adiba is fierce. She has had the most amazing life, and it's really going to be very hard to fit this into half an hour. We were just discussing. But it feels appropriate to start with the fact that you were a child of war. Your mum literally went into labour as bombs were going off in a bomb shelter.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk a little bit about life in Lebanon before you move?
Right. So basically, I'm writing a book right now called When Life Hands You Cactuses, Make Margaritas. And I've had this book as part of like a journey I need to do and make someday, right? And now this day came. But this is also because there's been so much in my life. And starting your life by literally being under bombs and having the umbilical cord around your neck, and there are no hospitals, you're in the shelter and have to be born, and then get rushed off and get a C-section while bombs are coming down. That's how my life started. So that was kind of setting the scene for what's to come in life. So that was really like a welcome to the story of my life kind of thing, right? So I thought, why not start from the beginning and actually go back and write from the time that I was a child of war. I lived in Lebanon for 7 years, and most of them in a shelter. And then we were refugees to Sweden, and all the culture shocks and conflicts of being a refugee and being, in the mid-'80s when there were no foreigners really in Sweden back then. We were all weird and all these kind of things. So part of my book is dedicated to the years of, trials of being a refugee, trials of being a child of war, and how do you handle those things as a child, going through war like that, seeing it hands-on, seeing people that you love die in front of you, and kind of going from that to living in a peaceful, snowy, amazing country like Sweden that has a whole different culture, and then, you have your dad that is still in the culture of, Lebanese culture, and that's how we do things, and you're super Swedish and you want to do things completely different. And so you learn early on also there to fight that man hierarchy of, how do you push through that as a young child and try to get your own, confidence and stability and independence early, and decide and plan for that early in your life, so you can then move on and to what I did later on in life. So therefore my story goes from the child of war to breast cancer lifer as I am now. So.
And you moved to America 5 years ago?
Yes.
What drew you here in the first place?
So for me, I've always been in the tech startup innovation ecosystem kind of work. I've had 2 companies myself, so I'm an entrepreneur as well. I have done a lot of work for the Swedish government and Swedish kind of interests of promoting, pushing Swedish technology and innovation worldwide and kind of make it more famous. And through my second company, I sold in a project to the Swedish government called Innovative Sweden, which was a world tour exhibition to promote Sweden as an innovative country by using examples and showing off, what different technologies do we have, how do we spread them, how do we brand them, package them, and position them around the world. So we created like this world tour exhibition, a 4-year concept, a brand that would tour the world and show Sweden. And so after like 1.5 years of sales pitching to the government, it takes forever to sell to government. I finally did it, and we decided that, Silicon Valley would be the best place for this launch, obviously, because I wanted to come here. So that was a great plan that we could start it here. And I came here, and literally the first week just said, this is going to be home. I am not going anywhere after this. So. And then I started as the CEO of, or executive director of Silicon Vikings, and from there to Silicon Valley Forum.
So talk a little bit about SV Forum and what you do there in your role as CEO.
So I think that I had the most, like when I came in, that was the most fun time, really. And Deb was on our board at the time and for many years and seen, all the different shifts and changes. And it was a time where the organization really needed to get into a whole new level of where to take it. All nonprofits tend to, after a while, need some, reigniting, need to kind of find new directions. Just because you're a nonprofit doesn't mean you have to lose money. Just because you're a nonprofit doesn't mean you don't have to find new ways of making business, making new impact, creating new value to your members and community. So what we did was literally just look at everything and just flip it and just find new ways and create new products and create new activities. So within the last 2 years, that's basically what we've been doing with the stellar team. And of course, Denise she didn't know it when we started, but she was like part of that plan before I even started. So to kind of be part very, very closely to all these details that needed to be done, and with the support of the amazing board that we have, it was easy to kind of, I never say easy, but it was easier because the board was so supportive to kind of get this to actually work. So I'm very happy and proud today that I can go on sick leave and knowing that, the organization is super strong. We are doing what we said that we were to do. We've shown great results to the board. We have an amazing team that is running, and the leadership in the team with Denise has been just amazing. And I'm so happy that I can actually drink margaritas and relax.
This is obviously the cliched question of the day, but this is a Women in Tech event. What's it like to be a woman in your position in Silicon Valley?
So for me, it's always been like, I get that question, and I've been getting that question since, because I was in Sweden too, right? So I was over a decade in Sweden in the tech industry. And it's not that big of a difference, really. You're a girl in tech, wherever you are. But I think it's more how we see ourselves and where I saw myself. And I've never really seen myself as the odd one out, or, like that I would be different from anything else. I've just done my job and what I need to do, what I want to do, and I haven't really let anyone get to what I need to do. And I think that that's part of who I am more than anything else. And also part in one of the ingredients I have in my book. I have 10 ingredients as a margarita recipe in the book. And several of these ingredients are very much about that. They're about, why do you let so much get to you? Like it's not the whole world if certain things don't work out here or there. It's not, it's not cancer. It's not going to kill you, It's like when you go through a lot of challenges in life, you have to, or you're forced literally to see all these other things, and they don't really matter much. So I think that's, for me, has helped a lot being a woman in tech, that I haven't really seen it as an obstacle at all for me.
So, when you compare those sorts of problems to cancer, that is when you put things in perspective. You were first diagnosed with cancer at 27, then again at 30, and again now. Would you just talk us through what that's been like in that sort of journey, which is so difficult?
Yeah. So it all started when, so in 2005, me and my back then ex-husband, I've been married twice. Well, this is my second. I'm hoping to stay married twice. So we were actually at the age of 25 trying to have children, and everything was, starting our lives and and then, in 2005, I was in midst of my career. Oh my gosh, I was running all over the place, and he saw, you have a bump, you have to go and check that out. And I'm like, no, I don't have time, I'm young, there's nothing there. And I keep saying no and no and no, and he keeps insisting that I have to go and do it. Take the time, go and do it, you know. So luckily, I did take the time, and I did go and check it, but I was, like everyone, was in shock that I would get it so early. So when I got the results, I went there between meetings, and no one told me, bring someone. We're going to tell you something that, you know, is going to change your life. So I went in there between meetings, literally, and got the diagnosis that I had stage 1 breast cancer. And that was a shock, obviously, being so young and not really understanding what it meant and all these things. So it was all about, you know, learning about it. We did do, you know, at that time, it was so early, it was a lumpectomy, meaning taking a piece of the breast, radiation, and I would be in tamoxifen, and I would be good. However, 3 years later, just when I was about to embark on so I've been on my way to the US 3 times. So the first time was before I met my ex-husband. I was going to do my exchange year in the US, and I fell in love, and I said, I'll wait with the US. So that was when I was 20. And then when we got a divorce, I decided I'm going to go to the US. So I resigned from my job. I have 3 months where I need to like pack things up, and I'm checking all these insurances that you need to be able to, you know, get to the US. And during that time, I have to do checkups to see and make sure that I'm completely clear from my cancer before I get any insurances. And that's when they find that in my old scarring from 2005, there had been 2 tumors that's been growing through during 3 years' time. So yet again, instead of going to the US, I ended up in the hospital for a year and, you know, getting treated quite aggressively. Still, again, just a stage 1, but, you know, this time they took everything and they gave me the highest chemo and all these kind of things that was needed. When I got better again, and between that, I met a knight in shining armor, as I call him in the book, a guy that was like my knight. He was like, we did so much fun stuff together during the good times. He was the one that shaved off my hair when it fell off, and, you know, he was there when I was throwing up, you know, stuff like that. But then I realized, which is one of the toughest things, is that it wasn't really love. It was, you know, he was there and all that. So you have to like break up with someone like that and fulfill your dream again and go to the US. So that's what I did. So the 3rd time was literally, I moved here. It took me a while, but I did get here eventually. And yes, so strike 3, I call them strikes, but really is, you know, each episode. The latest now was in January 2015, when me and my husband, yet again, so I have embryos from different men in different freezers. I've tried to have children for over 12 years. It's 13 years now. It hasn't really panned out. But anyway, so this 3rd time now with my new husband, we've been married for 2 years, and we were going to start at the fertility clinic, and we started doing the whole process. And yet again, they're like, we need to have all the clear, you know, imaging that you're all good. And what happens is that they find a new breast cancer in my right breast, which has nothing to do with the left one that I used to have. So it was like, really, seriously, I have a new breast cancer? But that was okay. It was super, super, super early. We'll just remove the breast. We'll do a mastectomy. You don't need anything else, and you're back on track. Great. During just after the mastectomy, the surgery, I get into the ER because I had fluid on my lungs. And what they do when you get to the ER is that they do a CT scan on you first thing when you have something on your lungs. So they do that, and by accident, no one has scanned my body for 7 years. No one since 2008 has scanned my body to see that I have tumors in my bones that I had no idea that I had. That was a result from my previous breast cancer. So for 7 years, I've been growing tumors in my body without knowing about it. So that was a definitely much larger shock than that I have a new breast cancer in my right one. So so that was basically just to kind of, go from being, cleared, I got that clean bill of health, being a survivor. In the statistics, I'm actually a survivor. I do see myself as a breast cancer lifer, not survivor. I live with breast cancer every day, so that's the difference.
Your stage.
So now I'm stage 4 with the spread to my bones and my lungs, we're working it every single day.
I've read a lot about you now, and you seem the most extraordinary, sort of optimistic person. Really impressive, and puts all of my troubles definitely in perspective. How do you keep going? Do you have days of thinking, why me?
So I did do that. I did have many of those days. We all need to go through the different stages of, grieving, screaming, hating, asking, wondering. I've had all those. I mean, literally, I was pissed off. I was so angry at everything. Why, this is so ridiculous. Why didn't I know about it? And I think for me, it's always not knowing. It's the how could I not have known, kind of, not having control over a situation. But you can't keep doing that. That's going to tear you down, and you're going to be all, in this black hole, and it's not going to make you more alive. Definitely not. It's the opposite. So for me, life has always been the most important thing. And I've been lucky that I've always had a life where, besides all the obstacles and challenges, I love my life. Like, can you truly, generally say you love your life? You have to, feel your life. Do you love it? Do you love what you're doing? Do you love who you are? Do you love who you are with others? Do you love, what's happening in your life? If there are things that are not really matching up, then hey, maybe it's time to change them so they actually do work out. And I've had the luxury of actually being able to navigate in my life in that way, that if things didn't work out with a man, well, then it didn't. If it didn't, work out with living in Sweden, I wanted to move, well, then I did. Or if, this work didn't, then it sounds easy, but it's not easy, obviously, but it's also not the most horrible thing to do. So one of the ingredients I say is feel the fear and do it anyway. You have to feel the fear of doing things. You have to feel the fear of what can happen. You have to feel the fear of the failure. But the reward of doing and feeling the fear and doing it anyway is so much greater than you can ever imagine. So that's me. And I think that really, truly, feeling it, living it, feeling the fibers of it does a lot. Most of us, we don't really feel properly. We just, feel maybe on the surface kind of feel. We need to dig deep in and really feel and let it, embrace it, accept it, embrace it, feel it, and do it. That's, some of the things.
I'm conscious of time. I knew it wasn't going to be very long, so I thought for this last bit we would open it out to questions from. So if anyone has anything they'd like to ask Adiba, she's an open book. She told me beforehand. I'm an open book. I'll answer anything.
Whatever you want.
There's one over there. For those that didn't hear that, I don't know whether you can all hear, but you've got to.
I said thank you for sharing your story. And what do you see as your vision for the future? What's next?
Thank you for that question. So basically what I'm doing right now, and I think that what happens as well when you get, the whole thing that I was not scanned for 7 years, there are so many things that are not functioning in the system today. Stage 4 breast cancer is not really well known in the sense that everyone knows what, the pink ribbon campaigns, everyone knows about early detection, how important it is, about the early stages of cancer and how, we can cure the early stages and all these things. Very many facts out there, like for instance that 30% of all the early stage breast cancer patients will eventually 10, 15, 20 years later get a stage 4 diagnosis. If you just let that melt in, you know how big that is? That's huge. So today we're not going out there and saying that stage 1 is really good, but by the way, you have a 30% risk to get this as a stage 4, and that's what's going to kill you. 40,000 people in the US alone die every year from stage 4, just in the US. We have 150, 200,000 people that live with stage 4 breast cancer today in the US. So these facts, these knowledge, these, kind of impact that I'd like to work on, getting it out through different breast cancer foundations. I'm very happy that Vera with the Hearst Breast Cancer Foundation is here today. I also support the Susan G. Komen Breast Cancer Foundation. We're looking at how can we add the stage 4 prognosis, the stage 4 for the stage 4 patients as part of all the other activities that are going on. Only 7% of all the funding, the billions of dollars that are campaigned for research and knowledge every year goes to stage 4. Why is that? 7%, that's super low. And that's what's killing people. So why are we not, doing more towards that? So my mission and vision is to make changes, to really make changes. And when someone that has been in a role that, or am in a role that I am, and also can make an impact and have an amazing network of people around me, and can have, the stage like this and tell you all. Now you all have some facts with you, right? And those facts are so, so valuable. So when you tell them to other people, if you hear someone that says, I had stage 1 breast cancer, I'm clear now, I'm a survivor. Sure, tell that person, demand a scan. Because scans are not standard. They don't scan you. So say that every 18 months, I want a scan. I demand a scan. Yeah.
Great. Any other questions? There's one with the back there.
Well, thank you for saying demand a scan. You just, I've had 3 friends be diagnosed in the last 6 months. They were all like my closest friends from Berkeley. And they're all like 47, 48. They all have teenage kids. And the one got diagnosed with stage 1, and she's very into naturopathy, so she's not taking the medication. She's doing we'll just call it the natural route. Mm-hmm. And the reason that the second one got diagnosed at stage 3 was because she hadn't been in 2 years, busy mom, attorney, and the one that was diagnosed at stage 1 made her think, oh, I better get in and get checked. She has stage 3. So, and all 3 are close friends of mine. The one that has stage 3 just took me out to lunch last week and said, you've got to talk to the one who's stage 1 because she thinks she's clear. She thinks she's just doing this natural route. She had the mastectomy, and she thinks, stage 1 and I'm done. I'm good. I went through everything. I'm all good. Mm. And so I think it's just really scary because the medical profession has her thinking that she's good, and and that it's okay to do the natural route. And I'm sure there's people on both sides of what is or what isn't right, the right thing to do. But she's not taking the medications to prevent what could be worse. So But as the 1 in the 4 that does not, that has been lucky, I'm not exactly sure what to say to the one with the stage 1. Tell her to get a scan every 18 months. I mean, how would you say it?
So I think that, first of all, I'm on 40 pills a day.
You're on how many?
40 pills a day.
Jesus.
I'm on 40 pills a day plus infusions in the hospitals. Without them, I don't know how long I would live at all. And I don't want to, so for me, I take the beating from I have so many side effects. Half my body is paralyzed, and I have tons of stuff, inflammations in the spine, and I have like 60 side effects or something going on right now. But so it is horrible to take the route of the medications and treatments. It is really horrible. But unfortunately, that's what we have now. We don't really have that much other things that would actually help us. What I would say to her is to really kind of talk to the doctor and see what could be, a good start, and wean yourself into, I mean, it's up to everyone, really. Being on the side where sometimes you can't get up out of bed because you are so gone from all the treatments you're doing, to having really good days where I travel with friends and family and I have a lot of fun and I write my book and I'm here talking. There are good ones and there are bad ones, and if we want to live, if we want to survive this, how do we do that if we don't use what is out there for us? On the other hand, saying also that here's the tricky part with why it spreads, and becomes more aggressive, and the stage 4 is because it goes through your blood, and you can't see that. So it's like, so that's what happened. I didn't have them in my lymph nodes. That's not where they found them, or that's not how they traveled. They went through my blood. So for 7 years, I didn't know I had, a war in there, that my blood was, fighting these cancer cells and having, their own little party in there. I had no idea. So what we need to do is look at, these, I can talk about that for ages, is how, moving towards just taking a blood test and knowing how we're doing and and then have more targeted medications so we don't have to go through 60 side effects that are not necessary for me specifically. Maybe, it's different type of side effects for different people, depending on your genetics, on your proteins, that's a lot of medical stuff that I'm not gonna get into, but I'm talking to people about those things as well. Kind of, we need to know more, because right now it's still the same size fits all kind of thing for breast cancer patients, and that's not okay either.
She was told that her lymph nodes are clear and thereby she's fine.
Yeah, mine were too. Yeah. But the other hand is the demanding a scan is because literally, not even in Sweden where I come from, where everything is free in the medical, is there a standard to take a scan. And they say the reasons, okay, why wouldn't you take a scan then? Well, it's expensive, of course, to do a scan. It's radiation. I can light up bulbs today with all the radiation I've been getting. It's like I have an inflammation in my spine because I had too much radiosurgery. So you get way over radiated when you're actually sick. So it's worth that 18 months getting a little bit of radiation to check if you have any, and finding the tumors, super early means that maybe you don't have to get a spine injury because you've had 2 big tumors in your spine that broke them down. It's like you can save yourself a lot of problems if you find it earlier. So, yeah.
Thank you.
There was another question just here.
Hi. Okay, I'm Usha, and I have a company too. I was with Silicon Valley Forum Startup Advantage 2 years ago. A very good program. A quick question. I mean, I'm like you. I've come from India, went to Singapore, and then come here. Been in 3 countries. I brought my dad here, and now he's been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, even just like 3 months ago.
Oh, I'm
And they
sorry.
said it was really aggressive. But it was very interesting because my mom put him on this diet, a Gerson therapy-like diet, you know, all natural juices, and he avoided all the simple sugars, rice and sugar and all that. And now, doctor says his stage 4 cancer, which is right now the base of the skull, very close to the aorta, and you know everyone's afraid about what it's going to do, but he says it stopped growing.
Okay,
I mean, that
good.
was like yesterday's diagnosis. That doctor was like, okay, that's something is working. So the natural juices and just putting him on an alkaline diet like barley and all that has helped. I don't know. Just want to give you that piece
Yeah,
of
no, I
information.
mean, I get, yeah, there are a lot of different things you can do for sure. Absolutely. I think what's the only very, very, very simple answer to all the questions is if cancer was an easy fix, we wouldn't have cancer today. So that should answer all the questions that there are so many things you can do, but if it was easy, it's the most devious disease where you have no idea. There are so many different cancer types.
Yes.
It's so hard to know what works with what, and that's why they can't find the cure really, because it is so devious. But I appreciate all the different, you know, options that are out there,
Yeah.
but it's not an easy fix.
Well, my question for you is, okay, for someone who's been, I mean, who doesn't have basically maybe all the connections, you know, you've come from different countries, and how do you find your mentor here, you know?
My mentor?
Yeah, how did you find your mentor in this, you know, you came from another country to this place, and you probably didn't
Well,
have
I mean,
connections to-
I've had tons of mentors here. Deb is one of my mentors. Yeah, no, I mean, I came in here in the business world here, and I have plenty of people that are my mentors and are really good, close friends, and part of all this, and a lot of support. I have a lot of support. Thank you.
I think I'm looking for guidance, but I think that's what we've got. That's all we've
Yeah.
got time for. So thank you so
So
much, Adiba.
I'm gonna be out there in the booths, and you can pre-order my book if you want. You get a little treat. Yeah, so you can just come by too and talk more if you want to talk more in person as well. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are you awake?